Kyle Nash joining the show talking all things UCF here as a dark horse to win the Big 12 Conference. I'll bring it up again. So this right here, Pick 6 Previous, has listed its top 16, there are only 16, Big 12 teams in the conference, with like Houston at 16, BYU at 15. They got Utah winning the whole thing. Not shocking. Those things aren't crazy. 15's wild for BYU.
I agree, yeah.
But UCF at 4. At 4 in the Big 12 Conference. The media did not have that. Nobody else in the country has that. But this is a very accurate magazine, one of my favorites. Do you believe that's too high? Or are they truly a dark horse amongst many that should actually be in a conference championship conversation? Because that's what 4 says to me.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. That's certainly the most confident thing in the media. But listen, the media also has decided to hide Harvey in the dark as if he's a running back that doesn't even exist. So say what you will about, the media brethren out there saying what they will and all that. But listen, let's get back to it, though. Would I put UCF number 4 today in my preliminary projections? I haven't officially done them yet. I like to save those for a little later in the season, and I'll drop those on the Night Shift podcast soon enough. Bing! But with all that in mind, my friend, it's going to be one of those things where tiebreakers are going to, I think this division this conference at the very least is going to be that close. Tie breaks are going to determine this. And again, that Utah head-to-head, huge for this team, okay? I mean, the hugest game at the latest part of the season where everything matters that much more, man. You've seen enough college football to know how that part goes, right? But as far as the win total and what it would take to even be in that conversation, let's say the 8, 9, 10 win range, that's certainly the best case scenario side. Like if before I do a prediction, typically, Drake, I like to do a low end, worst case, high end, best case. And getting that 8, 9 win concept is certainly in that best case side. Am I picking them? If I were to produce a student of the game, Kyle Nash magazine, what's that?
And you're nailing a point. I'm interrupting you. Yeah. 9 wins might get you to the conference championship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ceiling. 9 wins in the Big 12 because of the parity of the league. 9-3 might get you to the conference championship. Now, if you were going to make a magazine, what would you put in it?
Yeah, if I were going to put a magazine together, student of the game, Kyle Nash magazine, would I put them at 4th? I am not that audacious. However, like I said, if they ended up there, I would know things broke right. I would know that KJ Jefferson's putting together something to where if he doesn't end up on a plane to New York, it would be because writers overlooked him again. For some reason, everybody still holds UCF as a villain for one of 2 reasons. A, they're new. B, they can't get the whole national championship thing out of their head. And UCF still lives there rent-free. So it's those 2 things that'll keep any actual sort of award accolades from happening. But think about it, Drake. If you live in a world where you have a 2,000 yard passing quarterback, a 12 to 1,400 yard runner, and then what is KJ Jefferson going to run over and above that? Is 500 a nice conservative estimate? If that offense sees these guys doing those things, the defense must have laid an egg for that to not be a possibility to be in those top 4 teams and knocking on the door to a potential Big 12 championship appearance, right?
I mean, KJ Jefferson's played 44 games of college football. That's a lot of games. He's thrown for 8,000 yards, rushed for almost 2,000 yards. That's a whole lot. That's a whole lot of yards. So if you combine for nearly 10,000 yards with your quarterback and 67 touchdown passes, that's good. But here's where, so you mentioned R.J. Harvey. The rankings from Jaheim White, C.J. Donaldson. I mean, I'm reading down my rankings here to Abu Sama, DJ Giddens, Devin Neal, Taj Brooks, Ollie Gordon. Where does R.J. Harvey fit in that? Does he have potential to be the best running back in the league?
I mean, in yards, absolutely. And see, that's the thing. People aren't picking based on production. People aren't accounting for the fact that he's the central piece of that team. I would take Giddens over Ollie Gordon myself, for example, considering that last year Howard did such amazing things as a quarterback and you had a balance. If you want to see, by the way, what UCF may potentially look like, other than the fact that R.J. Harvey is just not as big as Giddens, I think Giddens might be my favorite running back in the conference, being truth be told. But that kind of combination, like Howard had with Giddens, I think you could get that sort of feel with Jefferson and Harvey. And I would think I would put 3 or 4 amongst the running backs in this league because they are deep, Drake. I'll give them that much credit.
I think so. This league does not lack for running backs. It certainly does not lack for quarterbacks. So the same question applies. down to Alan Bowman, who I just don't like that much at quarterback, but he went to the Big 12 championship last year. Baron Morton and Daquan Finn, who was the MAC player of the year, or Rocco Becht and Avery Johnson. People talk about Garrett Green at West Virginia. Cam Rising, Shadur Sanders, Noah Fafita, Jalen Daniels, KJ Jefferson. Where does KJ fit in?
And I mean, not to sound repetitive.
Damn good list, by the way. That's that's an insane list of quarterbacks.
As far as quarterbacks who are where they are and fit in a system and aren't going to be asked to do an overwhelming amount to put a team on their back, that's a big part of it too. Like Avery Johnson will be relying on Giddens there in Kansas State, right? But Cam Rising's a great player. Shadur Sanders is a great player. Do they have enough support in Colorado, for example? You're asking a corner, a Hall of Fame NFL corner, to now decide to purchase from the meat market and get some beef to protect his son. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. It's a much bigger question mark than Gus Malzahn rebuilding an offensive line of transfers with some foundation that's still in the building. By the way, he's done it twice before. People have just started to forget because he's done it basically every year he's been here. I asked him about that too, Drake, by the way, if the offensive line and turning that over is the biggest challenge for the offense. He said, no, we've been top 15 for the past 2 years in the nation in offense. His biggest problem, he wants more discipline, and like everything else he seems to have done here in this training camp, he's putting that on him, that the discipline wasn't there to stop the untimely offsides calls and things of that nature, untimely holding calls that basically erase third down conversions.
Yeah, also giving up large leads. Sorry, I just had to slip that.
Well, I mean, that was wow.
Harvey graduated from Baylor. I mean, one of the most stunning, maybe the most stunning college football games that I have been to, as I'm sitting in the press box looking at all the writers going, well, this is just a crap show. This is one of the worst football. I flew to Orlando, Florida for this, and then Baylor comes back and beats UCF in a truly stunning ending against Timmy McClain and company. Going into this season, though, for UCF, I have predicted them to beat Utah on senior night. I like the Friday slot because UCF isn't that foreign to it. It's one of those things that you kind of hold over from the previous conferences that used to maybe try to schedule more Thursday or Friday. My stretch is the West Virginia game into Utah. You know, that's tough going to Morgantown, or having Arizona, or having Iowa State on the road, Florida on the road in that mix too. We'll end here. What do you think of the schedule that UCF's been dealt?
I mean, you talk about the road games, and you're legitimate to mention them, but compared to flying literally more miles than anybody else in the nation last year, still pretty tame, I might add. UCF, by the way, going to the state of Arizona for the first time since the 90s or something almost. I forget. But I think, to me, the games that's the most scary would be those Arizona Wildcats. I think that trip is definitely the longest on the schedule. And, you know, to be honest, like at one point, I think you and I both were a little higher on the Wildcats than we may be now. Yeah. But it's that uncertainty where I've noticed as a program, UCF tends to be the most, let's say, shaky, right? Just take some of these East Carolina losses there against Holden Ahlers, for goodness sake, who's like 805 years old or something, whatever, right? You know, but for me, it's the Arizona game that's the scariest. Maybe you can help me, Drake. I can't get scared of West Virginia. Maybe I'm the problem, but
I don't know. This time last year, I predicted them at 1-11. They rattle off 9 wins. Yeah, they had that. Everybody in the Big 12 had their fluky crap game. UCF against Baylor, Houston beating West Virginia. Everybody had those. Will they again this year with the amount of return production? Same question I asked about Iowa State. It's like how, Rocco Becht and Garrett Green, I kind of put in a category together of, hey, you were good last year. You're pretty consistent. Can you really put it together and become elite? KJ Jefferson's shown elite talent. I don't have that question with him. I do with some of these other quarterbacks in the middle. For you, though, Kyle Nash, my question for you, you haven't mentioned it yet. Where can people listen to more of your UCF coverage and hear you even more often?
Hey, listen, an honor, joy, and privilege. By the way, you mentioned Iowa State, and I swinging in like this will make my point perfect. Matt Campbell has a tendency to be completely underrated for the talented coach he is, and the fact that I have to say this in an afterthought proves the damn point, Drankfeld. That's what I'm saying. But, hey, listen, honor, joy, and privilege to jump in with you again. Love doing it. Find me my writings on the blackandgoldbanneret.com, the SB Nation site covering UCF, and the podcasts where we talk about what we're covering there on the Black and Gold Banneret on the Night Shift podcast. And listen, look out this Thursday. UCF's holding their local team media day. Don't have to fly to Vegas for this one. So the Black and Gold Banneret staff will be on site to do all that. But Drake Toll, thanks for having me aboard. Until next time, my friend. Class
100%.
dismissed.
Oh my gosh, that gets me fired up every freaking time. Class is dismissed. And I don't know. I think mine's second to yours. But this has been and always will be. Come back tomorrow. Cameron Stewart joins the show on Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.